We are recording and we went live on YouTube, so we're good to go.
Okay, thank you. All right, this meeting will come to order. This is the Erda City Council. This is Thursday, January 26, 2023 at 7 p.m. We're meeting at the Tooele County Auditorium located at 47 South Main Street, Tooele, Utah. This meeting is being broadcast over Google Meet and YouTube. Start with roll call. Gilmore. Here. Erda is here. Nick Smith. Here. We'll excuse Scott Fate.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll open the meeting with public comment. Record, is there anyone online yet?
We do have several people online actually tonight.
Good. No comments?
No one has a hand raised or a comment.
We'll close the public comment. Second. Moved and seconded, and we close the public comment. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Comment is closed. Chair moves that we approve meeting minutes from January 5th, 2023. I'll second that. Moved and seconded that we approve these minutes. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes approved. Turn the time over to our treasurer for a treasurer.
Okay, for the report, seems like it's been 10 years, but next month it's been a year for the bond on the treasurer. It's going to be due. And we currently go through Utah Local Government's trust, so we just want to verify that we're still going to keep them as our insurance, because after the bond, the treasurer, the liability, and the workers' comp is also covered. So unless we change that insurance matters, unless we waive fees, bills for those.
I don't know why we want
Steps. The checking account for deposits, we had $242.54 through the strike fund. Some of that was business license and some of it was part of the granary. I deposited a check for the paid letter of intent, $2,000. We received a check from Rocky Mountain Power for $3,358.45 and deposited permits up to this date, building permits to $2,789.79. For the checks written and the state of Utah for second quarter permit fees of $171.77. We had Jennifer's salary from 12/24 to 1/6/23, $818.40. We had two electronic payments, one for $46 to the state and one for $403.88 to the IRS. And then we had another salary for Jennifer for January 7th through the 20th of $869.80 for a total of $2,300 and $9.85. We had $24.86 on the credit cards, which was $8.82 for the monthly Microsoft program and $16.04 for the monthly Adobe accounts. And that was paid on January 23rd. That's all we got.
Terry? Any questions for the treasurer? Okay, moving on. Ordinance number 23-01, ordinance. Erda City Council establishing a regular schedule. Sort of just housekeeping, we have to do this every year. I think it's proposed that we just keep the same pattern that we had last year, starting in August, and that is the second and fourth Thursdays of the month. Is there any discussion on this?
I don't see any obvious conflicts in any of those days. Anything I would be changed at this time. I'll move that we adopt ordinance 23-01, approving our city council schedule.
Move it second, we adopt this schedule, all in favor? Actually, Greg, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jessica votes yes. Eric? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Got resolution 23-03. Approving the appointment of an enforcement official. This will be named behind the person who will be the person enforcing city code. Like, discuss this a bit. Could hire somebody to do it.
Yeah.
Could appoint one of our employees to do it.
I'm scary.
But I think the obvious solution here is to
I don't think it's a permanent fix to have one of us, but in the interim or next year to, yeah, I agree. So I think that's. Eric said he really desired to have this.
I think one of the most well-respected people on the council, most diplomatic, is probably Scott. He's probably a person who could go to anybody and talk to them about a problem, figure it out.
is he not here?
Can't qualify him for it.
Yeah, defend himself.
This is true. I discussed it with him. It's not something he really wanted, but it's not something he really turned down either.
I think you should probably always have two people there in case something bad goes down. 'Cause I mean, you start enforcing codes, people are gonna get mad whether they're right or not.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yes,
The reason this is on here is there's a particular property behind,
Tom's Smokehouse.
yeah, Thompson Smokehouse, and in order for us to do something, we have to have somebody appointed. So I just put it on here proactively in case we want to be doing something.
Didn't you appoint for the zoning administrator?
Yes, we did.
They also have the authority to uphold any land use ordinances and ensure full compliance with all city ordinances.
Right, but this is a specific code enforcement officer that can send letters and file things with the county recorder's office.
I see this being much like the last one, when the attorney tells you to sign it, Yeah, you'll probably sign it. I mean, it's something you could go out and look and see if there's an obvious code enforcement, if there's a complaint. But if it comes down to that, then we'll have the city attorney draft a letter and it needs to be signed. I don't see this as going into people's yards and looking around.
Yeah.
That's not something. I don't think that's something.
So like when Thompson's code enforcement officer goes there, say there's something going on that's not supposed to be going on. What happens from there? You know, by law enforcement or?
We were notified by law enforcement that there's an
Yeah.
issue there.
I think at that point, we go by the attorney drafts the letter. We steps that are outlined in our code, which give notice. Once the notice, the days are up, violation is still there, start.
Okay, that makes sense.
When me and Scott talked about this, both of us feel we have availability to do this because we're in town most of the time. But I think that's most of the heavy lifting, honestly, will fall to the city. Unless
I think you're right on. When we send a letter, it has to be somebody that's been authorized by resolution.
Yeah, whoever signs it has to be an authorized signer.
Okay, so if there's a code being broken, does that enforcement officer take pictures of it, get it to the attorney, just tell the attorney? What's the process?
If there's a need, I guess that person can take pictures from the road.
I don't think there's any requirement.
Yeah,
I'm looking for it.
yeah,
I really haven't anticipated doing too much code enforcement outside this one. And if the police find another one, then they can work on that one. But I don't see him walking around saying, hey, your weeds are too tall,
yeah.
unless he wants to become that person. But I don't think he does.
I don't think we ought to volunteer somebody who's not here. So I think we ought to table it or. You're the one who talked to him. How's he gonna take it if we appoint him and he's not here to speak for himself?
I should have talked to him about it specifically again today.
Call him that first.
Buzz and noise. Theater. I suspect he'd be okay with it.
Go ahead and do it.
Yeah, like I say, if he doesn't like it, I could do it, it would fit right in with the other job relatively.
So it's gonna be
Discussion then?
Yeah, sure, with your nominations.
I move that we adopt resolution 23-03 approving the appointment of the enforcement official, and that official please tell us themselves today.
Moved and seconded, that we adopt resolution 23-03. Scott Bay, councilman. The appointment of enforcement official. Any last minute discussion? All right. Craig, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jess votes yes. Eric?
yes.
Carol? Yes. And let's vote to appoint Scott. He is adopted. We will now consider resolution 23-04 approving the appointment of the appeal authority. This is somebody who, if they don't like a land use decision that the city has made, can go to the next step. So we're appointing that person or persons at this point.
That's correct. And I anticipate one coming on the request for reasonable accommodations, which we denied. So I'm just getting ready to have somebody in place.
Okay.
I don't know who you want to pick.
When we spoke over the phone, you said you might have some suggestions.
I do have a couple of suggestions. I have an attorney that I use in Mill Creek. I have not asked him, but he does a couple of other cities. He's also the hearing officer for Post. So he knows what he's doing.
Just charge per incident, per hour?
Per hour.
Yeah, anyways.
25.
But we don't know if he'd be interested.
What's that?
But we don't know if he'd be willing either.
Don't know.
John Brett is a very influential person.
I think I can convince him.
I know this could vary widely, but for a simple appeal decision, how many hours do you think?
Well, for this appeal that I'm thinking about for the reasonable accommodation, it shouldn't take more than 10 hours. $1,000. $1,100. The normal case, 2 or 3 hours at max.
I certainly like the idea of having somebody with experience being our appeal attorney and not just anybody, but it's whoever we decide it can. Terry's good with it. Yeah. Any other suggestions?
There is one other attorney I use for collection who's expressed an interest to start doing this.
Around the same rate.
Same rate, basically.
The advantage of using an attorney in a situation like this is they will understand the law. Because there'll be attorneys throwing, or we hope they understand the law. There'll be a lot of attorneys throwing out, this is what it is, and this is what you have to do. We could pick anybody, but if we pick somebody who doesn't know or understand the law, they might be led astray. That being said, I would feel more comfortable appointing this person if we had contact with them already. And if it was going to happen. John's got someone he feels that would be good and trust. I'll trust the judge on that, but maybe suggest that we table the resolution. That we've had that discussion. See that they will do that.
The thing I like about your suggestions is that it's somebody else I really like that. So why don't we table this? Can we table it for another meeting cycle?
Sure.
While we contact some people?
I just thought, yeah, call her.
Okay.
I agree that being out front of this is a good thing. Does it make sense to have a resolution putting someone in that position that we have to talk to that new person? Move that we table resolution 23-04 until John can have a conversation with the attorney in Salt Lake and see if they have interest in doing this for us.
Second. Seconded, that we table resolution 23-04. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is tabled. Okay, now we just have an open discussion.
That's.
I think we'd have some discussion. We're not making any votes, we're not doing anything. We'll let people know what the discussion was, and I'm sure we'll have more.
I think it's just some fundamental information I think to tell you. There's nothing to vote on.
I do have a motion that we table this discussion. Is there a second? Okay, we'll proceed to discuss the received PID letter of intent from Harmony Village. You want to lead us off, John?
Yeah, they're requesting a PID. And the only thing that really has to be done in the next 30 days since they filed a petition is the recorder needs to determine whether that petition meets the requirements of law. And I'll help her out with that. I think the real critical things is in our policy, it creates what we call a district advisory committee. And they then start formulating or dealing with the developer with this process and working through the plan.
They're the ones that more or less make the decisions on the money that comes in. Is this committee that we discussed in the past? Or is there another?
This is a
Board of
committee that
directors.
starts talking about it, and then the city council has to approve it. And we have caps on mill levies. And so what I would suggest, 2 members of the council be on that committee,
On the advisory committee.
on the advisory committee. Also on the advisory committee is me and bond counsel. Now, one more thing. This is not going to go very far, very fast. Because one of the requirements is you get an attorney's opinion that the city is duly organized, validly existing, and there's no lawsuits threatening its validity. We have a lawsuit threatening validity by 6 Mile. So we're going to have to tell the developer, nobody's going to buy these bonds until that's resolved. So I think that's where we are. We ought to put together the district advisory committee and then look at the petition because that's statutorily required, and then we'll give them notice that the
The
petition.
advisory committee, all members are our decision.
What's that?
All the members of the advisory committee are the council's decision.
Or
does the developer choose some?
no, just ours, just us.
Okay, and how many members?
Whatever number we need. Here's what it says. This is in the policy that we adopted. It says the district advisory committee is an Erda City committee that advises the Erda City Council and other policymakers about district issues. The DAC, District Advisory Committee, represents representatives of the Department of Community and Economic Development, which we don't have, city attorney, finance, bond counsel, and municipal advisor, as well as other agencies as needed. So I suggest that we get 2 members of the council. We don't want 3 because we don't want to turn it into a formal meeting that we have to give notice to.
I'd agree with that. Sounds to me like, what was that first step? If you call, or give that a name, what would you call that? Where you have to get the attorney's opinion.
Oh, the attorney opinion?
That's what you call it. Okay, so should we wait until we have that attorney's opinion in the?
No, because you won't get it.
So in other words, there's no reason to start working on an advisory committee at this?
Well, I think we ought to form the committee, and then we can talk, and the committee can then give the assignment, send these guys notice.
Craig, how many should this committee have?
Well, this is about at least five of us.
That's two of us, yourself, and who else?
Bond counsel, municipal advisor, somebody from finance. We don't have anybody from finance. Unless you want to appoint her.
Who's municipal advisor?
That's Zions.
Okay. So two of us, yourself, someone from Zions, potentially Jen.
Well, Jen, yeah, if you want Jen to do it.
Ask anybody from the community.
You could. And you could add them. I recommend we at least have 2 members of the council
We could have someone
to give guidance.
Planning commission.
And then you can ask somebody from the planning commission. You can ask anybody here if you want.
Anybody in the audience interested in Erda resident? What is it? PID Advisory Committee.
Maybe. Probably will it, I don't know if I'm qualified.
Over. You live in Erda.
What's your name, sir?
Sheldon Birch.
Sheldon. Oh, I know. I saw you over at, someone's house.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so 5 at least. They're gonna have a published meeting schedule. It's not a open.
It's not a public meeting.
If 3 of us were on, then we'd have to do public.
Sure.
So that's true.
All right. I'm okay with 5. Terry, I don't care.
5 works.
Fewer the better.
I don't know, if fewer the better. I mean, you gotta have the right number, is the best. Or whatever that means.
Yeah, fewer the better is not right.
If you get too many voices,
Right.
nothing will be accomplished. But you want enough to round out.
So we ask who's interested in the group.
Kel should be on
I strongly agree with that nomination.
it. And, I'll be on it. We have John Zions. We have 1 person from, at large from the city. We have a volunteer, Mr. Birch.
City be willing.
Yeah, I think it's helpful.
How many do you need? Just need 1, so I can volunteer too. Okay. Okay. Well, I think this is good. We've got some names to discuss. So headed in the right direction. I think we decided everything's fine. Or do we need to start meeting?
I think we need 1 meeting. Once the recorder verifies the act, the petition, forward that to the committee. We then notify us, or direct that they be notified, and then also tell them about this lawsuit, which puts it all on hold. That's what I see it being the real first thing. And it's possible the developer may say, well, the lawsuit's gonna be done someday, let's start planning. And then the committee wanted to start.
Okay.
But they'll never get to the point of selling bonds.
Right, not yet. Yeah, I'm okay. Maybe, you know, this is something I'll do. Two volunteers, we feel strongly about one or the other.
I love Mike like a brother, but I would go with Sheldon.
Like to point out Sheldon.
I am too.
I'd pick Sheldon.
I'm really voting for Sheldon.
That was a lot of term there.
I don't think I can vote and I feel that.
Council. Feel comfortable with Sheldon, or should we keep do like a tally kind of how we've done other selections in the past? Sheldon, congratulations. Thank you. What else should we discuss? Oh,
Today's litigation.
no, there's the record. We had talked about the recorder, but is Sheldon taking that position more or less? It said, oh no, finance, so it has to be something specific.
Yes.
So Jen is the obvious selection.
For what?
To attend the PID advisory committee meeting.
Okay, because it needs to be recorded.
No,
No, you would be
a voting member.
a voting member, yeah.
That's exciting. This is fun.
How would you feel about that, Jen?
Sure.
All right, what else? All right, I think we have our committee.
Can you get his contact?
Yeah.
And then we'll let you make, when we need a meeting, we'll notify you and you can arrange it.
Love it.
Okay.
Good at organizing. Do we have the contact for Zion?
Yes, I'll give it to you.
Okay. All right.
Okay, what else should we discuss, John?
Today there is a motion, the court granted a motion to grant an injunction prohibiting the annexation of Grantsville. Then he asked for timing, basically. So he ordered the injunction so they can't go forward with the annexation. And one of the elements of issuing a preliminary injunction is the likelihood of success. So that's probably a pretty good sign how the judge will rule on that issue. The next stage will be they will bring a motion to dismiss because they don't have standing. They don't have a dog in the fight. That's really what they're saying. And the court will hear that sometime in the future, but I don't even know what dates they set, or if they even set dates for briefing and a hearing on that matter. So in the meantime, there'll be no annexation to Grantsville. And if they get past the motion to dismiss on the standing issue, which is kind of technical, that's basically the dog in the fight. It'll last a year or two.
So we're not hearing that there will be no changes in the roads. Mileage.
There will be no change in our road filing. Do you have another take on that, Craig?
I think that's pretty accurate.
If there's anything we can do.
Yeah, we're not part of it. We're just reporting what's happening.
Right. So we'll form a committee, and the committee can move and discuss these things. Although it sounds likely that there will be no action for at least a year.
If they get past the state.
Okay? What else we need to discuss or decide on this?
For informational purposes, you're probably familiar with the Erda Association versus Tooele County case that just came down about in the last month. That was a standard case. And they determined Erda,
Is that the Erda States one?
yeah, Erda states does not have standards.
So the Erda Estates and Cody Village now for 13.
And that's, they've been lumped into this pit,
Isn't that
according to this letter, right?
wasn't one of them, I think, that they said that the county, upon the developer, repealed that?
But it's in a footnote. But I've heard nothing from these guys, so I don't know what, if they want to, what they want to do. There's all sorts of discussions we need to have about that.
But Erda States and Teal Village is now left in this.
Is that lumped in there?
They are in this bid application, yes.
Okay, so we have a development agreement with them. Does it also include this property?
The development agreement does not include Erda Estates or Cody Village.
Okay, so there's two things, there's a couple things they're gonna have to do.
That was one question I had in here, and maybe you're not familiar with it enough to be able to answer. They created 4 separate districts, each one containing 3,000 square feet,
Very small.
very small, and then we'll do annexations with the rest of the property. What exactly is the purpose of doing that?
Just to get going, it's a process. So they create 4 small districts, and then they say we will annex in these areas, and we get to control what those, we have to agree whether those areas can be annexed.
Just when I read that, I thought, wow, that's incredibly weird to do.
Yeah, it is
District
probable
with
they
2,000
don't have all the consents from everybody that's in the entire big district. But they do have the consents for the small ones. Bond council called them postage stamp size districts.
Yes.
They're kind of placeholders. And then it'll be enlarged as they.
Does any of this affect anything to do with the stop order? Do we still have a stop?
Yes, we have a stop agreement.
None of this affects anything.
Well, some of it might. They're asking for something new. The question is, do we now want to ask for other things? Do we want to amend the development? They'll want to amend the development agreement to include these other properties.
Does a PID need to envelop the entire development agreement? In other words, can you have multiple development agreements inside a PID? So a PID can go outside of a development.
Right. A PID is just a financing.
So when I went through it and looked at this, and maybe this is an in committee question, but I'm going to ask it here now. I thought that our policy was pretty clear that it's for backbone infrastructure. And the public infrastructure part of this, the totals 71 million. No, sorry. Doesn't total even near that much. The public infrastructure part, I can see a total on it right here. I can see most of that's off-site, primary roads, I can understand some of that. When I start seeing things like subdivision infrastructure of single-family residential, and they're cottage and townhomes, and future infrastructure and Stanley Park Improvement District fees, contingency, performance bonds, design engineering entitlements. How does that fit into back?
Good question. That's what the district or the committee will be able to push back on.
Okay, 'cause
This is what they're asking for.
I see it's a big ask, $180 million.
I see 156.
And the proposed financing for it.
Well, they're asking for.
At the very bottom, they're not even full.
Yeah. To issue maximum bond principal amount, 180 million, I don't see exactly how.
And they want the mill levy of 5 mils for residential and 10 for commercial.
Yes, and we capped them also.
That was the same with our caps.
Yes.
Okay. I think there's a lot of discussion to be had here, and there's things that my personal feeling, and I guess they're asking for the moon, and that's okay, they can ask. There's things in here I don't think fit our policy, personally. Let me show everybody.
We'll push it back and get more details from them, because it's likely the curb gutter and sidewalk and the roads in the actual subdivision. They're asking for water to the houses, sewer to the houses.
I don't see that as being applicable to the intent. And I guess that's the reason I brought it up, is to see kind of what the rest of the council feels about that. The financing tool is one thing, but to finance an entire development outright might be another.
Or alternate, I can see. That's just. Okay, what else?
I don't think I have anything else, do I? Yes.
Anything else from the council on this?
Not on that.
Well, I still can't wrap my head around, but I can bottom line back. So,
Just baffles me. It worked that way, Terry. I can borrow money, you have to pay it back. That's what it should work.
All right, well, okay, well, I think that was productive. Council representative reports. Any meetings to report on?
I've got one. The County Economic Opportunity Board has met. We're opening it back up for businesses to make applications for $5,000 grants. Get anything, supplies, to help your business move. It's a weighted, it's really geared towards employment and employee retention and growth, business expansion, but simple, supplies, things you need to keep the small business running, it's here for small businesses. That application process will open in on Monday. Like I say, they are limited to $5,000 each, but there is money for small business.
Do business owners come to the county building to apply?
The online application process is not there yet. Michelle Custer could help anyone. Interested in applying.
And these are loans or grants?
Grants.
Is this federal money or local tax? Or
It's coming from the state to the county. I'm sure the state gets a pool from the federal government.
State economic development grant
For the street, probably. And as long as the county uses it wisely, we can apply, refund it every year. Get funding for 2023.
general comment? so far.
No, I've got. So hopefully it's splattered. This is strictly my view. I've been eating on this since Tuesday's planning commission meeting. That starts kind of out with committees. Committees were developed to be like fact finding to present to the council for actions to be taken. So each one was set up and said, okay, go find the best options for the city, and then the council made the decisions. And as they went along, they came off the agenda and were kind of put to bed. In fact, the only one that still kind of is an ongoing deal that probably won't be put to bed is the economic development. But it seems like some of them have kind of grown legs and end up being like, acting like department heads. Like for instance, like for roads, Scott and I are on what the job we did as a committee was done. And so now everybody that's sitting here is now over the roads department. Now, if you wanted to get a hold of the committee for requirement reference to doing something or something, that's fine. But it doesn't stop somebody from calling Craig and saying, hey, I got a problem, got this. He can take care of that. It doesn't have to be rerouted to somebody on another committee, because that committee does pretty much the job it's set out for. It's done. And it comes back to the kind of the case in point that I'm trying to make is I just happened to be on the Erda website and looked at the Planning and Zoning Commission's regular meeting type thing. And it was kind of short and sweet, but and so if you just did that part, it was just like, we're just gonna elect the chair and kind of be done and stuff. But if you kept scrolling down, then all of a sudden there was a work meeting set up to discuss a chapter in a land use code. Well, I couldn't find that code anywhere, so I called Jennifer. I said, Jennifer, I can't find this. Do you know where it's at? And she informed me there was a new one being presented. So I decided, well, maybe I better attend the meeting to find out what's going on. I was given a copy of what was being brought up and given to them, and it gave me a flashback of last year's nightmares and everything else. It's like we're trying to reinvent the wheel. And then it kind of got worse because I asked, how is this even happening? And was told it only takes 2 councilmen to add something to the agenda. I can understand adding something to discuss this, but it was a task given to the commission to review and develop a new chapter. And it was even being presented by the city planner at the request apparently of 1 or 2 council. One of the commissioners asked, who can bring something like this up? And we're told at that time, a developer can request a change or the city council. So I can see where the commission would be kind of wondering what's going on, because here you got the city planner presenting it, and it looked like the city council was approving it, but it wasn't. It didn't go through the city council, it didn't have the consent of the city council. It was just like 1 or 2 councilmen that brought it up. So I kind of cleared it up by saying, hey, it's not from the majority of the council. So in my mind, that should have, if that is true, that the council has to bring something up for them to change, then it should have been rejected right out of the way, but it didn't. So, if I had, I don't know if you knew about it, if I hadn't been there, nobody, except for the 1 individuals involved, would have knew anything was going on. And for some reason, they were reminded that they were appointed and not elected. And I didn't know if that meant they didn't have to worry about the will of the people because there's no election that they have to worry about, or simply that there's no accountability. And in this chapter, this was rejected by the council last year. But I guess the way I got it to sit through the thing, the new catch is, don't worry about this 5 or 6 apartment buildings on the right side of the street. On the left side of the street, there's this dog park that we can call open space and stuff like that. Now, of course, does that mean the city's going to have to be required to maintain or the upkeep and all that stuff, but the main thing is to me, anytime that a committee does a thing, it should present that information to the council, and then the council as a whole make the decisions to send something to the planning commission. To me, it almost looked like it was I don't know if it was just a misstep or it was intended to be kind of misleading or what the whole deal was. If this is the way of the future and how things are going to happen, I don't know if I can make it to the end of the term. I just had to get it out there and take it for what it is. I'm the kind of, I'm retired, so I don't have another job to go off to, so it just kind of sits and stirs and percolates and does stuff like that. So I don't have much more hair to lose. So I just had to kind of get it out and take it from what it's worth. It's minors.
Thanks, Terry. Appreciate that. Yeah, the land use committee comprised of myself and Greg did ask the planning commission to look at options or alternatives for the planned community zone. An Erda version of whatever that would be. And I wasn't there at the meeting, so I don't know how it was presented. It does kind of sound like it was that. My intent was to have the discussion. I think there are definitely many that would like to see that type of centralized plan zoning happen. That's not necessarily my view, but I think discussion is helping. You know, I thought with the name plan community zone or PC zone, I thought some of the planning commission might see that and just dismiss it outright, call it a night. But sounds like you guys had quite a discussion on it. So.
Well, it wouldn't have been if I hadn't been there. I'm sure it would have right. But that, my point is does it require the approval of the city council to task the planning commission? Or can just one or two say, hey, I want you to rezone this or look at this or do this? Because the way I was told that developer can request it and the city council, not individual city council make. The discussion you want to make is fine. We could have it right here, just like we did for months last year. And we, at the end, said, no, we don't want no part of it. We got rid of it, and there was a reason.
My understanding of Robert's rules is that in order to bring something up for discussion, you've got to have a motion and a second. That's two members. And so that's basically what happened in this case. It was both members of the land.
So I mean, it's like as a head, so and the department, well, that can go through council, advice for this stuff.
No, there's no laws being changed. There's nothing more than a discussion happening.
It was a start of the process. For clarification, any member in the city of Erda can send an ordinance to our planning commission to review. Any citizen of the city of Erda can do that. And when an ordinance goes to them, they need someone to present it to them, and that will be the city planner. We sent a draft to them for them to go in with a chainsaw and start changing. It wasn't
Or dismiss outright.
Or dismiss outright, but it was sent to them for their input and take on it and work on it.
Well, there wasn't any other council members even advised. That's the whole thing, is it's like kind of try it back over, slide it under. 3 of the 5 didn't have people to go on.
Well, I don't know if I'd go quite that far, but it's not going under or sliding through anywhere, it's starting the process. Process has to start somewhere. It doesn't start with approval from the city council for an ordinance and then to go to the planning commission. That's not the way the process works.
just know we all worked on land use code and all that together.
And now we're asking 7 people, what do you think of this? And
Then
they
it's
discussed it
starting
for
this
an
afternoon. That's the way government works. It's constantly evolving and changing. We did an ordinance and 2 resolutions today.
But it's the same thing that was last, it's that chapter 31, which is the county's zone, wanted it to be added into ours.
As a draft, we sent that to them as a draft for them to start changing. I don't know what they'll come up with. But yes, we sent a draft to them for them to start to look at.
And then it was told to me, well, she represents the city because she's getting paid by the city. So if you go by that, I guess we can't represent the city because none of us are being paid. That's what I was told.
No, when Rochelle's at the planning and zoning, she's there representing. There to guide them and take notes and things they want changed, change them. To me, the unfortunate thing Tuesday, instead of an hour and a half debate on what they would like to do with chapter 31, it became a debate on whether we do anything with chapter 31, to even look at it.
That's a valid debate.
Whether they look at it or not, it's something that doesn't really need debate. It's their own agenda to look at it. What they do with it is totally up to them. That's their job. That's what they're appointed to do. Yes.
So why were they told that it had to come from? When the question was, who can bring this to us? They were told it had to come from the city council.
It can
or
come from any member of the
developer.
city council.
That's not what was
The
told.
planning and zoning can bring it up themselves, and they should, and that's what they were told. Part of their power and duty is to look in code, see where there's changes to be made, and start them. That's part of the powers and duties of the planning and zoning.
What would it matter if they're
We've put some trust in them, and we've appointed them. And yeah, they don't have constituents that they have to worry about re-election. That's not their job. Their job is to look over what they feel is the best interest of Erda, not what gets them re-elected. If they don't get re-elected, the city council looks at things through a different lens than a planning commission.
that was my perception.
I'll give you another hug after the meeting. So moved.
Moved and seconded during the meeting, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yes, sir. I don't know how you guys focus on the speech, it's like, it's a sweatshop.
Some people
We're trying to
go,
compensate for how terrible it is out. You want some?
it was a mess. Still is.
I like the first life jacket, man.
Oh,
That's some nice gear. I got a couple of jackets. I love. Well, I got to mention.
Oh, file what?
That contract is
Just our contract procedure. Is that for?
Very far off. That's not working. Like, that's
No.
twice. Like, I've been removing and work with these. I don't know if they're not.
It's nice, that lightweight
No.
stuff.
Oh, yeah, this is Deb.
John Burns.
That's the charge.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like it just,
There's stuff.
it barely works at the other meeting.